The audio you're about to listen to is pulled from episode 238 of the Jurassic Park podcast with Brad Jost and guest Ryan Donoho. You're about to hear us talk all about our favorite sets from the Jurassic franchise that we wish we had the chance to visit. Enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a question that I asked over on social media. I wanted to know exactly, if you could have visited any set, any scene from the Jurassic franchise, which would it be and why? I think there's a ton of valid answers there. There's so many, immense set pieces with huge animatronics and really cool visuals, jungles, building, whatever it is. There's really cool stuff out there. Why would you choose that? And I'm really excited to know. But first, I want to introduce my guest for today. We're going to go ahead and tackle these together. It's my buddy Ryan Donoho from the Forcecast. How's it going, dude?
Good, Brad. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on the Jurassic Park podcast. This is a day I've looked forward to for a long time, Brad.
I feel like you've been on before. Have we done something together on this show or no? I'm not sure. I know you were on a live. Yeah, you were on a live stream, but I wasn't sure if there was anything else. So welcome.
I'm excited. I've been a fan of the Jurassic franchise for a long time, and I love this question. And it's really been really racking my brain about because every time I'm like, well, there's this set, but then I'm like, but I really always wanted to see this set, and then I think well, who's directing? There's just a whole lot of stuff going into this. So I love this question.
Yeah, and actually when I was going through, looking at some of the answers, I was kind of oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. Things that you could do, things that you could see. And it's not even just about the major set pieces. Some people were picking things that were a little obscure and a little different than I would have chosen myself. But when I read them, I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of a cool pick. So I guess I should maybe I'll start off with myself. And it's kind of obvious, and this is the conversation I had with, some contributors before posting the question, and a lot of us were saying, it might actually end up being narrowed down to one or two options, but like I said, again, I was kind of surprised by how many options people picked. But for me, I think it has to be the T-Rex breakout. It's kind of I feel lame saying it just because it's so obvious, but it has to be one of the coolest things ever. Seeing that pretty much full animatronic of the T-Rex, and you hear all these incredible stories from behind the scenes about them filming it and having to wipe it down and just all this crazy stuff because it was shuddering and when it was getting soaked and stuff from all the rain, and just to see all of these moments in real life would have been really cool. And in that set particularly, you're in a soundstage, so it's really replicating the jungle and everything really well. But you also have the vehicles there. You've got the mud, the rails, the wall, the fence. You've got everything. It's creating this full, hurricane atmosphere out there. And just to see that animatronic in person. And, I did have the chance when I went to Jurassic World Live Tour. They kind of gave us a backstage look before the show at the full-size animatronic T-Rex that they have. Now theirs is full-bodied, the entire thing, and I was blown away. So I can say I was just giddy and laughing and thought it was amazing. So to be able to see one that you become so familiar with through these movies would be something really cool. So I think that would have to be my pick. It's kind of obvious, but I don't know. There's so many great ones out there, though, so I can't really say some are lesser than this one, but this is just probably my favorite one to pick. What about you? Do you have a favorite one?
Yeah, that answer is the Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars answer. You're not wrong. That's probably the best one to visit, and I think it's the most obvious question, but sometimes obvious isn't wrong. But it's surprising me how much it colored my answer at first when I was thinking about the Jurassic Park, river adventure ride at Islands of Adventure, which is probably my favorite theme park ride. And so it's like I really want to go to the OG movies, especially the original Jurassic Park. So I kept thinking like, well, that anything with the raptor, maybe the kitchen scene with the raptors.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot like from the original movie that I thought, but then I sort of shifted away because I'm like, well, what if I took me going on the original Jurassic Park ride as a kid out of it? And honestly, like the one I couldn't shake, and this is one I think I've talked to you about like off air before, is the like Main Street or whatever the version of Main Street you want to call it from Jurassic World. The where Jimmy Buffett kind of double fisted there. Honestly, that sort of Main Street shops, restaurants leading up to the main hub, like that's honestly where I would want to go the most, because that would make you actually kind of feel like maybe I'm actually in, Jurassic World. Of course, I'm obsessed with theme parks, so that doesn't really hurt, to actually go see like their version of the completed theme park. But I just kept going back to that scene, and you kind of see the behind the scenes where Chris Pratt and the kids from Jurassic World, the big finale scene there where they sort of have the fake dinosaur heads when they were being chased through that, the gift shop windows exploding, all of that like sort of set dressing where they were like official merch. Honestly, that just attracts me the most. I really love that film. That goes up to with me for the up against the original Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. I love that film so much that I really think that's where I would want to go while they're filming any scene, you name it, that they use that throughout the movie. I just thought that seemed like a really impressive set, and I think that would kind of make me feel like this actually exists in the real world.
Yeah, I think that's a completely valid choice, and that was probably pretty high on my list as well. And I mean, I don't have like square footage details or anything like that, but I feel like this one here has to be one of the biggest sets that they have for this film franchise, because you have like pretty much the entire Main Street. And sure, like, not everything is decked out fully, and obviously the background wasn't there because they filmed this in Six Flags New Orleans in the parking lot. So it's pretty crazy that was filmed down there, but it gives this legacy to this like destroyed park down in Six Flags New Orleans from Hurricane Katrina. But yeah, it's interesting, and even I don't know if you can still see it, but I know for a lot of like aerial shots and stuff like that, even like Google Earth, even you could actually see the layout of Main Street in the parking lot still. So it was pretty crazy, but it has to be one of the fullest sets. And like you were saying about that scene where they're kind of going in and out of all the buildings there and the shops, that is like one of my favorite shots of that movie, and something that I feel like gets severely overlooked, especially when you look at it from like behind the scenes stuff. You get to see them this like huge, almost I feel like it's like a 360 camera shot all the way around Main Street, and it's focusing on absolutely nothing because there's no dinosaurs battling right there as it's being filmed. But as you're watching it, it's just a seamless one take, it looks like, going all the way around. Super impressive, going in and out of buildings, up really high on Main Street, and I'm always blown away every time I watch that scene. So I have to agree, that would be a pretty awesome one to see.
Yeah, like I said, I think, especially if we're going there like as it was actually being filmed at the time, I think the energy on that set had to be like one of the most unique energies on any of these movies. With it bringing the franchise back after like a decade and a half, this was like Colin's sort of, like really big first step into like a big franchise. It really has kicked off the new era of Jurassic. So I really would love to feel the energy on that set while they were filming, and just thinking about how they brought that part to life in that parking lot. That to me was just kind of like, I thought the energy, I think being around the first Jurassic Park set, I think would be interesting with Spielberg, and sort of wondering how they were going to be able to complete certain shots with the like sort of early CGI. I think that would be an interesting set to be on, but they didn't know at the time what it would become. Where the pressure on this set had to have been like higher, but also more exciting about like, all right, we're bringing this back to life. So I really think the energy on that set probably would have been pretty unique.
Yeah, and yeah, for that Jurassic World set, I mean, you have a few different moments which kind of could be amazing in their own rights. You have the initial look at Main Street where there's just people going about their normal theme park routine, which is really cool. It's just seeing an active theme park. You get to see, it looks like thousands of visitors. I don't know how many people were there, but there are so many people in Main Street. That just must have been incredible. Like, I don't know how they handled that with so many people there. You also have a moment where everybody's kind of, hunkered down in Main Street because everything's kind of shut down, and then the pteranodons and dimorphodons attack. So that must have been completely chaotic. And that's one of those scenes where I see just the choreography of that and how it all worked. And I'm just kind of blown away because there's people running everywhere. There's ATVs, there's like vehicles, there's InGen or not InGen, but ACU soldiers, and just so much going on. And then of course, like we were saying, the fight scene at the end of the movie too. So any one of those I think are pretty top picks, and just seeing that in person and kind of comparing it to your original statement about Jurassic Park and the river adventure. We don't necessarily have this just yet, the ability to go see this, but it's almost here. It's getting close. I mean, Hollywood did a decent job. It's kind of small, not really the same, but maybe out in Beijing, maybe we'll get something that's similar to this. So that could be pretty cool to actually kind of walk in those footsteps. And I think that's an interesting thing for you being obviously a huge Star Wars fan and running a Star Wars podcast. You actually do get to like kind of live, that kind of adventure and not necessarily like step into a movie, but you do get to step into like some novels and stuff like that, going to Batuu and kind of seeing all that stuff. Cause I think I read, what was it? The Thrawn novel? Was that the third one that took place there a little bit? Do you remember? Yeah, I was like thinking about that when I'm there in Galaxy's Edge and in Disney's Hollywood Studios. And so there is a point where you're like kind of connecting that to the full universe, and it's pretty cool to actually like be a part of something that feels like it could be a set.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I called in on the mailbag on this show, was that like I was wanting to envision what a fully realized land for Jurassic would look like. And I do think, as somebody who, I live in Orlando, so I went to Galaxy's Edge. I've been a number of times now. The coolest thing about Galaxy's Edge is just looking up to the left, to the right, and everywhere you look, you're kind of in Star Wars. And that's what I want. I think Jurassic almost lends itself as well, like maybe not as well as Star Wars, but on the same level for that kind of land. Like, I really like the Wizarding World. I really like Harry Potter. But it's I didn't really watch Harry Potter and think like, wow, I wish I could go there. Never, at least for me, I wasn't a huge Potter fan. But I do think that like Jurassic lends itself to a place that you could fully immerse yourself into. And that's why I get so bummed out when I go to Islands of Adventure, because I like run to the popcorn cart and I'm like, I can't wait to get a popcorn bucket that says Jurassic Park, because I'm supposed to be in like Jurassic Park Orlando. And then they hand me just a Universal Studios basic popcorn bucket, and I get mad about it. That's I guess I didn't think about how that factors into my decision. I was just watching JurassicWorld.com has a time-lapse video of them building that Main Street set, and they fully fleshed that out when they put up Margaritaville. I think there was a Ben and Jerry's. That like the thought of being able to go there, even if it's in Beijing or whatever, if Universal gets smart and does something in the States, like I guess there's something about like being able to actually feel like you're in the park. And I think the T-Rex breakout, or any of these other like maybe dinosaur fight scenes, I think there's an element of you're actually on a movie set where, straight ahead are some lights, and you're off stage. And in this instance, if I was to come in and sit in on this Main Street set, I could go get a table at Margaritaville outside, maybe next to Jimmy Buffett, and just kind of sit there and chill and watch them film. And everywhere you kind of look, it's almost like when I was looking at this time lapse video, they made it legitimately, since it was outdoors, it was in a contained area. You'll obviously see cameras and stuff, and I think you do want to see them filming it, and you do want to watch how it happens. But also, I think there's an element of like, okay, I actually feel like I'm at Jurassic World. I actually feel like I'm here, where they might build a small corner of the jungle to get a certain shot to flip over the car, and it's just like a pickup shot. Where here, it's so easy to put the camera anywhere, and you're actually in that set. So maybe the theme park aspect does play into my decision.
I think it does, and I feel like it's kind of I've always said this, the Jurassic Land is kind of like a missed opportunity, the way that they've utilized the property, because I mean, I don't know if the numbers are there for something like this, but like I feel like it could use its own park. Like imagine a full park that, it is a theme park. Jurassic is a theme park. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, whichever one. You could build an entire theme park based off of this, and I think people would go to it. I think they would pay it. You could even do a coupon day or something. But people would go there, and I think it would be a lot of fun. And yeah, so this Main Street section really definitely speaks to me as well. But I don't know. What do you think? Should we dive into some people's takes here? Because we got a lot. I want to try to cover as many as we can. So let's start over here on Twitter. So let's see here. Skylar Thompson says, I consider the T-Rex in the rain sequence to be the best scene ever put on film, so definitely that one. But there are probably 5 or 6 from each film that would be a dream come true. And that is exactly what we just said, pretty much to a T.
Yeah. It's just gonna be tough. Like, I think you almost have to take that T-Rex in the rain out of it, and then say, okay, what else would you want to see? Because I think anybody, even if you're not like a huge Jurassic fan, I think that's like a historic film scene. That's like the Death Star scene in A New Hope, where you can see Obi-Wan and Vader facing off in the distance with the Falcon in the bay, right? Like that's almost like film history, where it's like, well, that's film history. That's got to be one of the coolest, effects and in-camera stuff they were able to pull off. If you think about just the in-camera stuff, so it's like, to me, it's almost like you have to be like, all right, well besides this one, which one?
Yeah. And one aspect that I feel like I may have overlooked as well is the fact that, like, once you see this, it might ruin the film for you in a way. It might kind of take something away from your experience. So do you go in seeing all the flaws in the back end and a T-Rex without legs, and see that shuddering T-Rex in the rain? And do you experience those things, knowing that, maybe it might affect the way that you view that scene? I don't know. It could be an interesting thought to take with you into one of these scenes.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that too. I guess the difference is for us, you would hope that, we would have maybe gone back in time and just got to visit, and then and then like went back to normal, where you weren't actually on set, like you didn't turn back into your whatever 1992 whenever they were filming that self, like, so you would at least be like, wow, I get to see how they do that and see it up close, and sort of like, and then go back to your regular life and be like, well, I still got to experience it on film the first time, then I got to see how it was done, and then I went back to life. Like that would have to be the scenario where instead of like you wander in 1992 onto the set and you're like, wow, look what they're doing here. But at the same time, I do, when you look at it, you do have to wonder how much of that stuff was actually done in camera, and how impressive the set was, that you might actually be impressed, more impressed when you see how much they were able to do on that set.
I feel like, back then even things were more done in camera. Because this is like kind of like the start of a revolution in a way. And, whenever you're watching documentaries or just listening to people talk about their love of film and where things came from, like how they learned to do things. I feel like a lot of that centers on Jurassic Park as well. I was even watching the Mandalorian behind the scenes, and I was wondering I was wondering why they kept bringing up Jurassic Park, but it's right there on the surface. We keep hearing them say, "Oh, back when we did Jurassic Park, we had to learn how to do all these new techniques," and I think a lot of this was all done in camera, and that's really, really impressive. So to be able to step there and at least look at the set from a certain angle and know behind you is a lot of other stuff. There's tons of people, there's cameras, there's other stuff, but in front of you, everything looks legit, and that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's why, like, I don't know how. I was trying to think of maybe somebody will have, will end up saying it in one of these comments, but I don't know. I guess there's an obvious one for Jurassic Park 3, but I don't know what I'm watching for Jurassic Park 3. Maybe the restaurant where they convince Grant to come save their son. I don't like. There's a bunch of cool stuff, actually on the island, but there's so much just about Jurassic Park, like you mentioned, about like what it meant to film, that you'd want to watch that happen as it happened. Where Jurassic Park 3, I don't know if there's like a ton outside of like maybe a handful that I would want to see. Like I think Jurassic Park itself, you told me I get to watch any scene kind of film, then I think I would gladly accept that. So I don't know. I think I think the way what it meant to film almost makes Jurassic Park almost unfair, because it's like, well, heck yeah, I'd love to go back to the beginning of it all and knowing what it does mean. So
yeah, and the next two here that we have also do focus in on that T-Rex breakout, so maybe I should have struck that from the list. But Stephen Brewer, another big Parks fan as well, I actually met him down there as well. He says, I think the same day that I met up with you in Hollywood Studios, he says, if I said I absolutely want to be on the T-Rex breakout set on the road to watch the huge animatronic in action, watching them try to dry it off, seeing those actors do their thing. It's my favorite scene from the franchise, and I'd do anything to see behind the scenes. Justin Peterson here says, the main road attack in JP, that set piece is so iconic. From the stories about the animatronic getting wet and shaking and other unexpected things, I would love to experience the energy that was on the set as they were breaking new ground to find their footing on the way. So again, like we're covering these topics. Everybody's expressing a lot of the same thoughts and feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Bob, it's just so tough to beat any of these,
It is. But here we have a good one. One that I kind of didn't expect, and it's really like a good, really full set. Bobby here says, Nedry and the Dilophosaurus, zero hesitation. He also says the six Triceratops as well. But seeing a follow-up here, seeing the Jeep, Wayne Knight in costume, the animatronic Dilo being operated, seeing the set itself, maybe even toss the stick for fun, it would be worth it to be soaked to the bone. Yeah, that's actually a really, really cool mention there. I think that would be a really great one, because it's like this fully encompassed set. You have this like hill with rushing water. You got the Jeep up stuck in the mud and up on the hill. You have like a tunnel off to your left, and the sign, the East Dock sign, the animatronic. There are so many like really iconic moments, I think, from that individual scene. So that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wayne Knight in general, to watch him perform, unsung hero of the Jurassic franchise in my mind. But I think I think to me the answer has to be a fully working animatronic would have to be in the scene that I would pick. Which kind of, was there a fully working animatronic in that Jurassic World Main Street set? I don't think so. So
no.
Maybe that kind of, but maybe if I go to the Jurassic Park movie itself, anything with that with a fully working animatronic to me would have to be sort of on that list. But also, like, there was a lot of rain. There's been a lot of rain in the Jurassic franchise, if you think about it. When you go on those, like, either the Universal Studios Hollywood studio tour, the old studio tour at MGM Studios, I always love when they're like, this is how we make it rain, or have like a huge, like waterfall scene, or like a big, water come
Yeah.
rushing down kind of scene. That stuff always fascinated me. So to see how
yeah.
they like, recreate rain would also be like super, super fun to watch.
That's actually, I never thought of it because we do have all those different sequences. Whether it was like Earthquake, I think did that right. The backlot tour at MGM, and obviously the backlot tour in Hollywood. But man, imagine like a Jurassic backlot where you get to go through that sequence, and that would be really cool to see all that rushing water and to see them kind of filming that, or even like a great movie ride style run through of that scene would be really cool.
It really does make me angry when I think about all the stuff that Universal is not doing with this franchise, because it's like the entire idea of the franchise is a theme park. So if you have the rights in the theme park, just do stuff with the theme. Like it always makes me angry when it's like, even like the biggest Jurassic fan, who doesn't like dinosaurs? Like, so it's so frustrating. Every time I think about like what they could do, they've got to still. I mean, I don't know how much stuff Spielberg holds on to, but they've got to have some stuff that you would put on either a studio tour or a great movie ride style ride where you can take some of this stuff and put it in front of people. I do think there's an audience still for seeing real props or real animatronics or real costumes or something. I mean, it is their most profitable franchise, so it's just very strange to me that we're not doing stuff with it. But I think we could go 3 hours on that topic.
Yeah, it is a shame. But Tame the Dragon 94 here says, gotta be JP3. So here we go. This is a different one. When they were filming the Allen Raptor plane dream scene, so I can tell them how stupid it is and to cut it out of the film or use an animatronic from the first JP instead of the new one. Bravo, Tame the Dragon. I like that answer a lot.
Alan, man, that's my favorite scene of the entire saga franchise.
The entire thing.
You know what? What is it? You think that was on? Was it? How fleshed out do you think that set was? That's what I want to know. I don't know. I'm kind of done with it.
I would be fully on board, because Tame the Dragon's like, we should cut that out of the film or use an animatronic. So it's kind of like to tell them how to do things. And sure, that's very easy with our lens from 2020 here. Our 2020 vision, is that lame? But I would love to find out what happened on the set of this movie from multiple standpoints, because there's tons of rewrites and stories about things changing, and this is not what we were supposed to get, and just to see and to be on that set to find out maybe a little bit more insight and take it back to 2020 if we are time traveling, if that's the case. Or maybe I'm in high school and it's 2000 and I'm trying, maybe this is when they were filming it and it came out in 2001. I don't know what I would do with that information back then, but I would love to know like what happened on this movie. And even Joe Johnston, like, huge Star Wars acclaim from back in the day, and obviously Captain America, the Rocketeer, Jumanji, like some really, really great stuff. But I would love to ask him, what happened? What happened here? I don't know.
Yeah.
But honestly,
I like JP3, but yeah, I mean, it's when you get done watching Jurassic Park 3, you just kind of wonder, like, where else could they have gone with a third movie in the trilogy? So that's why I said there's not, I think there's one, I see a lot of this coming up, so I don't want to ruin it, but I think there's one obvious scene to watch from JP3, and then the rest is kind of like, let me go and tell, Joe Johnston to not put this scene in the movie.
Yeah, I think, and that's an interesting point of saying, like, don't use that Raptor that you have. Don't use the new one. Use the old one, because Alan wouldn't have any foresight to know that this is what the Raptors are going to look like on this island, unless some true documentation came from trips out to Sorna. I don't know. That's the only reasoning I can find to say, like, that's why he knew what they looked like. But yeah, use the old JP model. That's what I would tell them as well. Yeah. Let's see. Damien here says definitely the opening scene to Jurassic Park. For me, it's an intense opening to a film, and it was our first glimpse of a dinosaur and what is to come. That's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good scene. If it has the raptor pen, right? It has that iconic raptor pen that you do get on the River Adventure, but it's at nighttime, and it's kind of like very dramatic, and you don't know what's going to come out of the trees, and then you see this giant crate, and just to hear like, Robert Muldoon just says "shoot her," like that would be amazing to see all that happen right there in front of you.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that answer on Twitter, I was like, "Shoot her!" Oh, yeah, I don't know how I don't know. I know JJ Abrams likes to shoot in sequence a lot of times. I don't know how Steven does it. How much of this they shoot in sequence, like this could have been shot 2 months into production versus day one. But I do want to know what the first scene that they shot was, because this is the first scene that we ever get introduced to in the franchise. But like to be on set that very first day, I think would have been a very fascinating kind of experience to see like, all right, this is where it all started. What kind of nerves did they have? What were they thinking if this was going to work? That, so definitely the first, because when you go to watch this opening scene, it's important to us because it's the first thing we got to see. But I'd love to go on the first day of shooting of the first movie.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that as to what was the first scene. I do have the Jody Duncan Don Shea book here, the making of, and production. Let's see. Monday, August 24th, 1992, they gathered on Kauai for the first 3-week leg. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it says. I'm not reading the entire thing while we're sitting here, but yeah, that would be a pretty good scene if they did that first, because it's kind of like this unsure, quality, like nobody knows, and you would kind of really like get a good sense from those actors because they don't know what they're dealing with. Almost like don't even tell them what's going to happen. Just say something's going to happen here. Just kind of use your cattle prods and just kind of poke if you thought a huge monster was going to be in here. That'd be pretty funny. Michael Pierce here says Main Street from Jurassic World would be an absolute dream, followed very closely to the visitor center inside the set from Jurassic Park, some of the most iconic buildings in cinema history. Yeah, that's very true. I don't think I don't believe the Innovation Center was fully built or anything. I think it was just the bottom portion of it, and obviously I think the rest of it was all CG. But yeah, that visitor center was pretty legit, like from top to bottom. That thing was pretty awesome.
What about the DNA screening room?
Oh man, I just want that to be real in general. Like, I wish that was like a fully functioning ride. That would be a good one to see, though.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think that was like something added in afterwards. The screen, like the footage, but that's a good question. I don't know. Anyway, Sylvia here says Jurassic Park during the T-Rex attack on the main road, although it's followed closely by other sets, including the kitchen scene. Erog Jurassic, sorry if I mispronounced that. It says, I think the first picture to see them jump and try to dry the T-Rex. We're all obsessed with drying a T-Rex animatronic. I find that so funny. That's pretty awesome. We're all like in the same mindset here. We just want to see them wipe down an animatronic. To think we're going to go back to 1993 just to look at a bunch of guys holding some towels. We're all strange. My buddy Tom here, Tom Jurassic, says, and very, very like a good answer here. He says the Jurassic World Dominion set. Now, I was kind of thinking in the past, but he's throwing it to right now. Well, if you go to the set right now, not much is happening. But yeah, if you go there during whatever big scene is being filmed, that would be pretty cool. And I think
maybe pre-COVID.
Too. Yeah, exactly. Things are going to be a lot different because we just heard all those regulations that are going to be put in place about all the screenings and just making sure everybody's safe. So I wonder, and I think they did. I don't know if it was I know Chris Pratt did like a giveaway thing for either like a set visit or for the premiere. I think it was probably a set visit. But I wonder if stuff like that will still happen. Like, are they still going to have, people from websites from, Collider or Slash Film or, sites like that? Are these people going to still go out to the set to witness things be filmed? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, I would doubt it. That's why I said at least, this time, if you went on the Dominion set, you get tackled for getting too close to Chris Pratt. So it's like, maybe I'll, watch from afar, but then you would really feel like you're watching a movie set and you're not like immersed because you're probably in like some corner 18 feet away from where they're filming with a mask on that you could barely breathe in and hardly see. And then, they'd be like, all right, that's it. Get out of here. So the Dominion, maybe that snowy scene that Colin shared pre-COVID, maybe I'd like to see the excitement and see if Frank Marshall's around so I can ask him what the next movie is after this. But I don't know about like post-COVID.
Yeah, post-COVID's a strange world. But yeah, it's like, oh, we get this one snowy set that we know of. We don't really know much else. But that would definitely be cool. And I wonder, like, does that still factor in? Like, how does that still work with whatever's going on now? I don't know. But even, imagine if that wasn't used in the final film, if they say, look, Maisie grew up too much, we have to reshoot this, or it doesn't fit with our other locations that we're going to shoot, things are not working out because now it's 4 months later and, things are different. It would be interesting to say, like, I was on set for a scene that was, or, a whole sequence that was never used. So that would be pretty cool too.
Yeah.
A new contributor here, Dakota Morgan, says the treetop scene with the Brachiosaurus, that amazement and beauty of the dino. That would be a really cool one to see. The Brachiosaurus treetop scene, and one that I've been pointing out a lot recently. I'd like to take a look up and see what's up with that cargo net up in the top of that scene.
That's always one set that I always wondered how they did it. Especially as a kid, I was like, because you actually really believe that they're, way up in the sky. That's what was so beautifully done about the first movie, especially, was that, like, even for 92, we talk about how much was done in camera. It really was a very believable film, in every sense, maybe except for the fact they brought dinosaurs back. But all the sets, were very, like, you actually felt like this was a real place. And that was always one of the ones that fascinated me for years. Like, how did they do that exact set?
Yeah, and that one has like a portion where you see this change from the Brachiosaurus, animatronic puppet head, whatever it is, to like a CG model. You can actually see it pretty easily. In the film, there's like a pretty distinct difference between the two. But yeah, I would still love to see that thing and kind of interact with it, because there's not a ton of moments where you get to like lovingly interact with dinosaurs. It's always like you're on the attack, you're kind of scared. But there's a few where it's like you get to lovingly warm up to these things and kind of be friendly with them. So that would have been cool. Let's see here. This one is from Sayan Chakraborty. Sorry if I mispronounced again. This says, always Jurassic Park 3 because of the realistic dinosaurs, animatronics, and the artificial Isla Sorna jungles they've created. Interesting pick. The animatronics in that movie were pretty cool. Like they do look like amazing, even better than before. So, after all those years, they definitely kind of perfected it.
Yeah. I mean, I the jungle wasn't as, I thought, epic to me as the first two. But the animatronics, I think, definitely were impressive. What do you think? Would you want to be hang gliding from the top in Jurassic Park 3? Kind of get those nice views of Isla Sorna. What do you think?
Dude, that would have been a set that, again, I would have said, guys, stop. Let's call it a day. Let's go home, not do this, not film this. But again, I would kind of miss out on all these comedic moments that I have in my life now because of that scene. I forget what it was, but my son asked me a question today. We're playing outside, and I was like, no, not yet, because like that's what he does in that scene, and I'm just like, why does he say it like that? What is happening? And it just looks so bad. Like the whole green screen effect that they're using there just looks really, really bad. But yeah, surprisingly, a lot of love for Jurassic Park 3. And this next one, Aaron here says, Spino versus Rex in JP3, my jaw would have dropped and never closed. I'm sure to this day it would be stuck in open position. Plus, I would have seen the Spino animatronic ripping the Rex's head off. Yikes. Ouch. That would be cool.
That's right up your alley, though.
Yeah. It really is. I would love just, and I know there's like a bunch of set photos and stuff from that moment, and I even included it in the post just because, again, somebody said it before, but the animatronics are incredible in this movie. And sure, that Rex is a repurposed Rex, but the Spinosaurus is one of the most incredible creations ever. That thing is so massive, so huge, and sure, not a lot of it really made it into the film, but still pretty cool nonetheless. Just to be able to say you saw what they were attempting there would be really cool.
Yeah. That's. I'm a big proponent of animatronics and practical when it comes to the dinosaurs. So at least attempting that fight with practically would be impressive enough to check out. So.
Yeah. Majungasaurus Productions says the original Rex main road attack. Alex JC says the Spinosaurus scene, which could be a whole bunch of scenes. I don't really know which one, but that one that we just said, that was a cool scene. Jurassic Tweet says Jurassic World Main Street. Ben says so many. This is tricky. You didn't pick one, though. You got to pick one. So it is tricky. That's the point. Will Walker says the long grass scene with the velociraptors in the Lost World. Words cannot express how much I love my tiger boys.
Lost World hasn't got a lot of love.
Surprising, yeah.
What do you think about like the? Would you like to be in the trailer with Vince Vaughn?
I mean, absolutely. I why not, man? I mean, him sitting there chewing his gum, like just wide open mouth, no like regard for anybody next to him, listening to him chew. I'd do that all day.
How much real stuff was like the San Diego stuff? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
San Diego is a real place, so I know that. But outside of that, I know, that gas station, people, still say, like, they'll still send me pictures and be like, I live near that gas station where the T-Rex knocked the ball off the sign and it just rolled away. Like, so stuff like that's really cool. I'd like to be able to, like, say, like, oh, I live near that thing. And actually, speaking of that, I usually, and I haven't been recently, but I work out near where they film the movie Signs, and I'm like, you know what? One of these days, I'm just going to go out there and go to, like, this convenience store, which they were filming inside. He went to go, like, pick up, like, something in a convenience store, and I'm like, I just want to go see it. And it's just, like, a regular old convenience store. So I don't know, maybe one day I will. I'll say I was on the set of Signs.
There you go.
Here's another one from Tom, and it was a genuine answer. He says, I'd love to visit the InGen worker village from the Lost World. And he does his little British thing, whilst, I don't know how to say that. I love some of the classic locations used in JP. I'm a big fan of abandoned exploration and photography, and the way that set was merged with nature was beautiful. I have to agree there, Tom. Good, very good pick.
Yeah, I think Lost World needs more love.
Yeah, it does. You brought up a good point about Jurassic Park 3, the fact that, like, the jungle really wasn't cutting it. It kind of looks like they created one set and then another set. Every like spot where they stop in a jungle just feels like another set piece. It doesn't feel like a real jungle to me. But the Lost World, while it certainly wasn't exactly filmed mostly in a jungle, it was just, on Endor, so or the Forest Moon. It kind of was like, you know, filmed there, and it has a completely different vibe and style. So it looks and feels real, so much more than Jurassic Park 3. So yes, The Lost World definitely needs a lot more love.
Yeah.
Where did I leave off here? This is I'm going to skip that one. This one says, Doug Peterson says the Spino attack in the water. Crazy, so many crazy elements in that scene. An animatronic partially submerged in water, fire going all about the place. Winston and his crew mental on that one, and I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that. I have to agree there, Doug. If I was going to pick a Spinosaurus scene, that would probably be the one. There are so many elements, and that is probably a pretty huge set. To have all that stuff going down, it would be really amazing to see that filmed.
Yeah, I agree. I guess the elements is an interesting aspect people keep coming back to, whether it's fire, rain. People really like wet animatronics, you know. But I do think seeing them try to pull off and kind of watch the, you know, on-set FX person, you know, try to get the fire at the right time, the water, just trying to get the right shot. That would be a lot more like, I guess, watching the technical side of how they pulled it off, much more than kind of being immersive. But you know, I've as a guy who's always been obsessed with, you know, Universal Hollywood, MGM Studios, that stuff does fascinate me. So I'm kind of down to watch fire and water kind of going off at the same time and trying to get the animatronic to go to the right place at the right time. So yeah, that would be, you know, like you said, a fly on the wall.
Yeah. Next up, Cliff Bauman says, easily the first movie. There's nothing like it. Had never been animatronics of dinosaurs that looked so lifelike. They were changing cinema. The Rex breakout scene, one of the best moments captured on film. Agreed. Norm here says, although not my favorite film in the series, I would have to say the lab in JP3 with the raptor attack. It captured the wonder of an abandoned lab that the Lost World novel had, and it was creepy and well shot. For me, it is one of the best scenes in the franchise, just a little too short. Yeah, that would be a really cool one to see, I think. I would probably rather the lab sequence, or not lab, but the abandoned facility from the Lost World film, but that one's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I guess now that the Lost World has gotten some more love, I guess I'm shocked we haven't got a single Fallen Kingdom one yet.
Yeah, you're right. And I was wondering, actually, if anybody would pick anything from Battle at Big Rock. So that's an interesting thing we'll have to keep a lookout for. But yeah, no love for Fallen Kingdom, Battle at Big Rock, and barely anything from Jurassic World. And I think that, you know, with the new films, it's kind of like painting a portrait of, you know, things are a bit different now. We don't have all of these massive animatronics. For Jurassic World, you only had that dying Apatosaurus neck and head, and that was it. Nothing else. Fallen Kingdom, I don't even know. My brain's at a loss right now. But there was a few things, I think. I don't remember.
Wonder if you have to be on the boat leaving the exploding island, and then you have to look back in horror.
You have to look back in horror, but there's actually just nothing over there. It's absolutely nothing. Yeah, but I kind of understand, because a lot of these massive, you know, animatronics and set pieces are all from the past. Who knows what we'll get here with Dominion, but hopefully there's a chance that, you know, in the future, if I ask this question, maybe a lot of people would say Dominion. Let's see here. I don't know if I said this one. Jurassic Repaint says T-Rex versus Spino. Mike Tharm here says it's a toss-up between the sick Triceratops or the T-Rex attack from the first film. The Triceratops one is pretty good. I actually think that's a good pick. And mostly because I feel like it's one of the sets that probably puts you most in the film. You know, because it's just a wide open set. You're literally like in Hawaii, in the jungle, just with a massive, you know, sick Triceratops right there, fully, you know, right in front of you. And that thing looks so realistic. And to get to sit there and like kind of try to help the thing out, or just watch from, you know, obviously we're not really in the film. We're just watching from behind, but just watch them like interact with this thing. I think that would be really awesome, because there's not really I feel like we were talking about before, other sets you get to see seams and a lot of like other stuff behind the scenes, but this is just, you'll look as far as you want and it's just jungle and just one sick triceratops. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's probably the best wide open scene to pick, because like if you think of like Fallen Kingdom, the running away scene where they're trapped in the gyrosphere, you kind of have to pretend like there's a volcano erupting and there are dinosaurs all around you, where so you, not that you would feel stupid, but at the same time, if you're watching, it's just Chris Pratt running, and looking around at nothing. In this instance, it's wide open, but there's, like you said, there's an actual dinosaur laying there. And you sort of can feel like, okay, maybe I'm actually, at Jurassic Park, versus, if you're watching a newer film. I think that's why so many older films, like you said, so many older films are getting picked, because you have that sort of, you're actually looking at a dinosaur, even if it is an animatronic. That's what fascinated me so much about the Jurassic Park, River Adventure, was that like you kind of actually felt like you went there and you saw the animatronic dinosaurs. So I think that's a selection for so many people, because like I said, if you're at the set for Fallen Kingdom or even Jurassic World, it's like I'm watching Chris Pratt run away from a tennis ball that they have for reference for later, and it's like, so that's kind of a tough choice to make. You'd have to pick something like the Lockwood Manor, or something where you could at least explore the set versus watch people run away from, stand-in puppets or something,
Yeah, and we actually keep talking about the parks as well, like the real Universal parks. And I feel like this attraction, the River Adventure and everything, it was kind of that step in a different direction for them, because they were used to building, what was the slogan? Like step into the movies or something like that. Like you actually got to like be a part of the filming of a lot of this stuff, like to kind of be a part of like the behind the scenes. And then this, they build another little park off to the side there that really puts you into the action more so than behind the scenes. So this was like a completely different step in a different direction. I would have liked to have seen that other direction where they're like, you know what, this is behind the scenes of Jurassic Park. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they should have committed to something one way or the other. I mean, Hollywood, what's interesting about the Hollywood one was that they actually started making the ride before the movie was even out. So that's why I think maybe this, and Spielberg played like a huge hand in this particular ride, so that maybe that's why it feels so special and connected. Now they've obviously redone Hollywood, but it feels so special and connected to the actual film because Spielberg played a big role while they were making the movie. The Hollywood ride was actually being made at the same time. So I don't know. It's unfortunate because I can go visit what amounts to a Star Wars set, but as a Jurassic fan, you can kind of go to this like weird, well, we tried kind of set. So it's like, that's what's frustrating is we're talking about all this stuff, but I can go see a spaceship docked on top of a spaceport or an X-Wing, where it's like the photo ops at Islands of Adventure, they're cool, but the head peeking out above the car is kind of like, well, kind of know what I'm staring at here. So yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate because I don't know how we got to theme parks, but a lot of these sets, if they do Beijing right, maybe you can actually feel like you went to a movie set.
Let's hope so. Next up here, Nicole says the scene in Jurassic Park where you see the T-Rex for the first time. Agreed. Christopher says when dinosaurs ruled the Earth, or the Stampede in the Lost World. Two different picks there. That's pretty good. The dinosaurs ruled the Earth thing. I don't know if there would be much to see there. That would be interesting. Pocky here says Spino and the best Raptor pack of the franchise. So for me, JP3 all the way, dude. There you go. Another JP3. I am so shocked right now at all the JP3 love. This is crazy. Mr. Dino says the Lost World scene, and he put a picture here of two T-Rex ripping apart. What's his name? Of course, this is what happens when you stay up super late and your brain doesn't work. Eddie Carr.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
That would be an interesting one to see because you do have like two T-Rex there. You have a trailer, you have a Mercedes right there on set. Like there are so many things that trailer attack sequence would be awesome.
Mm. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Like, it's hard because if you pick something, almost every one of these is like there are dinosaurs to look at. I'm
Yeah,
still waiting on one that's like Main Street's the most obvious. Like, you want to visit it, irrelevant. It's the being a dinosaur being there is irrelevant. Where almost every other one is something related to seeing a dinosaur do something epic because we know, oh, that was an animatronic or oh, that was
yeah,
CGI. Because like Grant getting out, taking his sunglasses off, it's not actually looking at dinosaurs at that point. So it's like, well, I could see Sam Neill take his sunglasses off, but if I'm going to pick one for Jurassic Park, it's like, well, I'm going to pick something where you know something where I'm seeing a dinosaur in action. So I think that's
yeah.
where most of the choices are leaning to.
Yeah, I actually, and you said it like a long time ago. You want to see like the bar sequence from Jurassic Park 3. That would be kind of cool, just to be like a bar patron in the back, just either at the bar or at another booth, like just to see that stuff. You can't hear the conversation, so you don't have a script or anything, and you don't really know what the plot is or who those people are that he's filming with. You just know, I know that guy is Alan Grant. I don't know who he's with, and I don't know who those other two people are. Seems like they're a pretty adventurous couple. I don't know, maybe, but
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
You got the Claire and Owen Fallen Kingdom bar scene.
Yeah,
You've got the rooftop as another rain sequence from Fallen Kingdom. Um, you know, I just like it's tough to not pick a dinosaur or being on New Bar or Sorna, because it's like you want to see the
yeah,
actual islands, that they were on. So it's just like an interesting dynamic where it's like because I think seeing the raptor training area from Jurassic World would be interesting, but you wouldn't see any actual dinosaur animatronics. It would just I feel like Jurassic World has the best like check out set scenes just to feel immersive, like either the
hmm
where they discover the Jeep from Jurassic Park in Jurassic World and they have to somehow they're able to have the knowledge to restart the Jeep and somehow it still runs. But seeing that sort of like shed with all that Jurassic Park merch
yeah.
would be fascinating, but you wouldn't see a dinosaur. So Jurassic World to me seems like the most immersive. Go visit these sets and feel kind of like they're real, and not necessarily see any cool dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of the thing, and like I was saying, yeah, it's either like a big cardboard prop that looks like a dinosaur, or like like you said, a tennis ball on a stick or something. So, yeah, not as thrilling for sure. But to be a part of like a set, like you go to that raptor pen, and you're like, oh my god, I can't wait to see some raptors. Maybe I'll see some. Maybe they're gonna bring out the animatronics, and then you see like three people walk out in like white unitards and like like a white raptor headpiece on their head, a hat, and it's like that's not what I was expecting. Okay.
Yeah, did I lose the visit the set contest or did I win?
Oh yeah, you probably won, I guess.
I finished third, so I got the white unitards. The grand prize went to Main Street. Somehow I ended up over here.
Oh man, MD14. This is the last one here from Twitter. It says the OG Visitor Center / Discovery Center has great vibes to it. Agreed. There hasn't been a ton of love for that building overall, I don't think, but yeah, just to kind of see that set in progress would be really cool because it was pretty legit. That first park was legit. It would be awesome to see them just to watch all those characters. Those are kind of people kind of just walk up the stairway. That even no dinosaurs, like you're saying, no dinosaurs in that. But just to see that moment happen would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe trying to think of non-dinosaur ones because I think the opening of Fallen Kingdom seemed really cool. I don't know exactly what the set looked like, but it definitely felt like an OG Jurassic Park scene. The opening of Fallen Kingdom, and then maybe seeing the sort of the Jeeps on a track, or I guess they weren't. I don't know. I guess they were technically Jeeps, whatever the other model is called. Seeing those vehicles on the track for the original Jurassic Park, kind of when they are starting to check the place out. Those are two that I would put on my list that don't involve dinosaurs, I think.
Yeah, it is a lot of things, and you said like whether it's the island itself or whatever, it's the iconography of like that first film specifically that is really alluring to see those explorers and Jeeps in person, whether it's the visitor center, just to see the architecture. It would be really cool just because everything from that movie was super iconic. But yeah, Jurassic World kind of has like a very sterile environment. It's more just concrete and just blues and stuff like that. It's not like a, an amazing set. I mean, it's amazing, but it doesn't like stand out as something that is super iconic looking. I guess you could say the Discovery Center or Innovation Center that they do have is pretty iconic, but it wasn't there. So you can't really pick that, I guess. But, let's move over to our Facebook group. We asked the same question over there. We got a few answers here. JT McGill says the Lost World would have been a fun set at the right time. Great props, amazing location. I almost just threw up everywhere. And animatronics and vehicles that were top notch. So great, really great content coming from this podcast. I have to agree, and actually just kind of like dawned on me to see that like that Lost World, the San Diego park, like that miniature prop that they had, and I know that was being shared around a lot recently online. That miniature prop of that San Diego park would have been awesome to see in person.
Yeah, that's another. I think that's another because that you gotta imagine that miniature set. You would hope they didn't destroy it, right? That's another hey, somebody that would go visit a Universal Park would probably want to see that thing,
I don't know, but I'm sure it's probably destroyed. Knowing Universal and what they actually keep around, it's not like Disney and Lucasfilm and all that. They kind of just let these things rot. So yeah, and speaking of like that kind of prop as well, you also have the one from Fallen Kingdom. Like to see that prop, that prop of the original park, that would be really cool too. I would love to see that. The second I saw the pictures released of that, I was like, oh my God, I want it. I want it for my toy collection. I want to put like every dinosaur that I own on that thing. It would be amazing.
Yeah, they did a really good job in Fallen Kingdom of really selling you on the Lockwood connection. There's a lot of props in that film that I would want to take a look at, see in an exhibit. Have for myself, whether it be the, I don't know, would you call that thing a cane? That Lockwood had, and then the miniature set. I think there's a lot. Like I said, Lockwood Manor is an answer that I'm surprised we haven't gotten. But the problem is with modern sets is you don't know. I guess that's a testament to how good CGI is, but you don't really know what was there, what was added, what was fleshed out, what wasn't. So it's kind of tough to pick one, and then when you actually see the set, you're like, oh well, those dioramas were actually shot, that Maisie was hiding through, were actually shot in some soundstage 40 miles away. So it's tough for me to kind of pick these recent ones because they do such a good job of melding these sets.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're still over on the Facebook group, and this is Tim Piper, our buddy from Collect Jurassic, says, this is tough. There's so many scenes I'd want to visit, tie between Jurassic Park Rex Paddock and Jurassic World Main Street. Hey, those are the two that we picked here tonight, so definitely agree with you. Oh, and I just went backwards and completely lost the page, so bear with me just a second as I bring it back up live here. Here it is. Oh, there the comments go. All right, so the next one is from Stephen Ray Morris, and he said, definitely calling in for this one. And guess what, guys? He didn't call in. So, Stephen, what's going on, man? Why didn't you call? There you go. I agree. I agree with that, and I'm mad that I didn't have that on hand. So you got me covered. I like that.
That's what I'm here for.
But he did follow it up and say the high hide in the Lost World would be really fun. So I guess maybe, he didn't call, but he actually left an answer as well. So the high hide in the Lost World, that would be a really cool one to see how that was filmed. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the Lost World has gotten more answers as we've gone on, but I do think there is that's probably the most underrated Jurassic film. So I think any there's a lot of scenes from there where I don't there's a lot that I don't think you can kind of go wrong with.
Absolutely not. And it actually, like, I commented under his, and it made me think of the high hide and all the equipment that they brought to Sorna in that movie. And I think one of the best scenes to see filmed would be that garage sequence from The Lost World, where Ian is being introduced to Eddie Carr and Nick Van Owen and all that. Like, to see them, interact in that garage where, all these crews are kind of like building all of these vehicles, building the trailers and attaching all this amazing equipment to the Mercedes and stuff like that. That would be really cool to see. That it's kind of like a toy box in a way, like this massive toy room of all of these amazing things that you love from that movie. See them all in one spot. So I could definitely, I think that would be a close second for me, would be to see that scene.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Ryan here says, I think it would be a tie between the T-Rex breakout and the Velociraptors in the kitchen. There you go. Charity says The Lost World when Sarah is taking photos of the Stegosaurus family. That would have been great to visit if it was a fully animatronics. Instead, though, I'd have to visit the T-Rex scene from the original film. Yeah. But going back to that Stegosaurus scene, that would be pretty cool. And I mean, there was an animatronic baby Stegosaurus, so that would be cool to see. And again, you're like in a physical location and everything's legit. That would be pretty cool to see them choreograph that, because there's no stampeding stegosaurs there, but to see that action kind of take place would be really cool. Yeah,
again, it just keeps going back to like wanting to see a dinosaur. I think that's what's funny is that sort of central question of is like, do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur? Which is like that question. I think it's kind of haunting all of our answers, because it's like, well, I want to have the time that I first saw a dinosaur, and it's like that feeling that you would capture on set if you could see, whether it's a baby Stegosaurus or the T-Rex keeps getting mentioned. It's just like, it's hard to not want to see a dinosaur, because you can go to any major motion picture and see an impressive set. But like what sets apart Jurassic is the animatronics of at least the original three, where it's just like I could actually see a dinosaur, and I think that's like sort of coloring almost all of our answers.
Yeah, and bringing it back to the theme parks as well. Like anytime I'll go to Universal, I have to go see the Raptor Encounter, because I want to see that dinosaur. Like I want to interact with something that feels real, and just to have that moment there with a real dinosaur. Get to have a nice interaction with Blue. Stuff like that is really cool and special. To see that like taking place in front of you on a set would be amazing. Aaron here says, I'm picking the following partially because I don't think I would want to know much more about the original iconic scenes than what's already out there in the behind the scenes footage and whatnot. Yeah, that's what we were saying before, right? Like you don't want to kind of ruin the magic of the whole thing. She goes on to say, it's also one that scared me as a kid over anything else. I'd love to be there when, or in the Lost World for the T-Rex in the backyard eating the dog thing. I think I remember reading it broke into the room but didn't make it into the movie. But I'm not sure if that was ever confirmed as a deleted thing. That scene was one of the ones that always carried with me, and I imagine all the time. The parents arguing about the nightlight, the kid being excited and nonchalant about the dinosaur in their backyard. There's something safe about suburbia, but terrifying to think about how really not safe you are if a T-Rex ever showed up. I'd agree. I don't think I'd feel very safe if there was just a T-Rex in my backyard. Eating my dog. That would be horrifying.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. That's what's, I guess, a good acting performance would be, because there's also the moment where Maisie is in the same room, as a dinosaur, where to watch the acting of like, how would you act if this was actually in a real situation where you were faced with that situation, could be a real fun way to sort of watch the director and actor kind of interact and be like, all right, in this scene, you're the kid and you have to be like all excited that a dinosaur just showed up in your backyard, or you have to be Maisie and you have to like really make the audience believe that you're staring down a dinosaur.
Yeah, I think the nightlight thing would be funny, just because like, you step into that scene for a little bit and it feels like a different movie in a way where it's like, what is this? This kid's just having some nightmares. There's parents arguing. You don't know who they are. You have no connection to who they are. But it's funny nonetheless. Like I still love that sequence, and to see that dinosaur outside the window, oh man, that would be awesome. But that was it from our Facebook group. Let's go over to the official Jurassic World Facebook group. Let's see. There's not a ton here, so we'll get through them. This says Ben says the original Jurassic Park. And I followed that up because I was like, anything specific? I would love to just see the whole thing, the entire thing. That's not a wrong answer, Ben. But he did follow that up with the scene where Richard goes, "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and I was kind of blown away by that answer because, again, like that's a sequence where if you're standing there, you said before, Grant takes off his glasses, but there's nothing. He's not looking at anything. He's just looking off into the distance. But then to hear Sir Richard Attenborough say those iconic words, "Welcome to Jurassic Park," I think that would be an amazing, like, kind of historical thing to witness right there, to kind of hear those words said right in front of you.
Until Spielberg's like, "Well, cut. I wonder if you said it this way," and then you'd be like, "Oh man!"
And then you realize he ADR'd it anyway, and you didn't actually hear the real one. So
yeah, you could just say, just mouth it. We'll worry about it later. And you're like, oh man. Which does, if you think about legendary moments, I guess one, because that's like you think, I'd love to see this moment for the sake of like I said, I think anything with Wayne Knight, the anything with him, Barbasol, any sort of like legendary thing, even seeing Sam Jackson tell you to hold on to your butts,
Yeah.
I think something that I would want to see for the legendary moment is the first time the big three were in camera together for Dominion. That's one that I think you would want to see,
Yeah. And, as far as I know, I don't think that's happened yet. It's so, who knows what that looks like now, because they could have had all these plans in place. Like, we're going to get film crews and stuff to film a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and we'll get all the press out there for that moment specifically to see them interact for the first time. But who knows, maybe it's going to be like a very skeleton crew at that moment, trying to figure out, like, we can only have a certain amount of people in there, especially because, like, a lot of them are a lot older now, so you don't want them to be at risk. So man, that would be an iconic moment to witness, but I don't think it's in the cards for me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a shot where Claire and Owen are with the big three, and maybe the sort of the blending of the old and the new would want to be
Hopefully.
where or maybe if it's like a Avengers Endgame scene where literally every character that ever existed, with the way the casting news was, it's a very real shot. Some sort of group shot where you're kind of staring at everybody that's come together. Could be an interesting shot, but I think anything with the big three for Dominion is where I would lead toward that movie.
I mean, if any of them stepped through portals, I would not question it one whatsoever. I'd just be like, okay, I'm here. I'm down with it.
It's the trend. It's the trend between the episode 9, Lando bringing everybody, the Avengers assemble. Jurassic can't be left out. So, maybe they're staring down a dinosaur army, and all of a sudden, Grant and maybe William H. Macy come through a portal, and then they're like,
dude,
we just got done eating at a restaurant, and William H. Macy paid me to come here through this portal. So you never know.
Honestly, like, that portal sequence is like my favorite moment from there, and like I'm pretty sure that that Lando moment is like your favorite moment from Rise of Skywalker, right? I know you probably talked about it that a lot. So hopefully this one pays off. They got a lot to live up to. Next one here is from Spencer, and it says the aviary, aka the birdcage from Jurassic Park 3. That's another one. Surprisingly, didn't get any love until now. That's a really unique one, pretty innovative one, and one where you can actually see. I think they're still there. I think some of the pieces are still there from that moment over at the Backlot Tour in Hollywood. I think they have like at least one of the walkways.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that scene.
Yeah, and going back to that last moment where we were talking about, just the dinosaur-less moments. I can't believe this has not been brought up yet. Maybe it will. So maybe I'm jumping the gun, but I realize it might be near top of my list now too. The flea circus scene. You get that dining room sequence. It's just extremely quiet set dining room sequence. You have ice cream on the table melting in front of you. You've got John Hammond and Ellie Sattler. That's it. And it's just, you just get to witness the amazing, incredible acting of those two across from each other. That would be really like unbeatable in a way. Like, yeah, you can see a dinosaur do some cool action stuff, but to see some real raw acting, some of the best acting you could ever see, you could see it right there in that sequence. And that would be an amazing pick.
Yeah, that'll jump up there too. There's a lot of these that I think you have to almost put like a filter this. So it's like, all right, move the T-Rex breakout off the table. Okay, now move seeing an animatronic off the table. And then so it's almost like categories, like non-dinosaur scene, T-Rex breakout scene.
Yeah.
And that, anything where you're getting some of because I think the performances are underrated in the Jurassic franchise because dinosaurs do take so much spotlight. Mm-hmm. I think especially the first movie, a lot of acting performances, getting in the the near the end of the movie where basically he's telling him he's not going to sort of sign off on his park, and he's like, I think there's a lot of funny moments where you'd want to see like that,
Honestly, like just to witness that camera push in on Ian Malcolm when his chest is out and he's bleeding on the table, like in the bunker, like how cool would that be? Just to see that, because that's another iconic like image right there that everybody shares and everybody has art of, and you see that massive like statue thing, or I don't know what it was that was built out in the UK, that stuff like that, or even the Funko Pop, that's like an iconic image right there. To see that created would be really cool. How did they come about that pose? Just everything about it is super awesome. So maybe dinosaur-less scenes would be some of the best. And this next one is surprisingly a dinosaur-less scene, I believe. Charles here says Gentle Giant's petting zoo, because I almost said this backwards. I almost said Chris Pratt wasn't a part of that scene, but he was nice enough a guy to take a break from surfing to stop by and say hi anyway. And he wasn't visiting that day so much as working. So I guess Charles here worked at the zoo. Was that the... Oh, what zoo was that? Was that San Diego or something like that? I forget. But yeah, that would be cool to see, like, to have that like moment where you actually get to see like that Gentle Giant's petting zoo, while there wasn't really a lot going on there. But imagine like dinosaurs roaming around. You get to pet them. You get to that'd be so cool. I would like to see that in real life, not necessarily behind the scenes.
Yeah, you kind of forget how much of Jurassic World is dedicated to making you understand that this is a real working park, and like it's really the only chance in the entire franchise we'll probably ever have to see Hammond's vision realized up until all hell breaks loose. So that's why I said that. That's why I think maybe I love Jurassic World so much, because you kind of get to see just what a real working Jurassic Park, Jurassic World would be. And it's like this fully realized dream. Because we've seen things go terribly wrong in every single movie. But Jurassic Park was sort of, hey, I want you to check this out, this unopened park, and sign off on it and see what you think. The last two movies of that trilogy, there is no park open or anything like that. And then Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, in Dominion, they're not going to open up. I don't think the movie's going to end with them finally opening up Jurassic Park San Diego. So
please let it happen.
So all those scenes that you get in the first half or so of Jurassic World would be cool to see, because it's like the most sort of upbeat, sort of thing. Even that control room, I don't know what that control room really looked like in real life, but that's a pretty cool thing to see, sort of them monitoring an open park, which was pretty neat. So.
Yeah. Samantha Endress here says, definitely Jurassic Park. It would have been amazing to see the working T-Rex animatronic or the sick Triceratops. Two really great picks. Dennis here says Jurassic World, where Owen, Chris, intervenes to save the zookeeper from the velociraptors during feeding. Yeah, that would have been cool, because I feel like there probably was a lot of stunt work involved in that, right? Like you have the guy flying off. I don't know how much was like actually done, but you see him, land in the cage, and then you see Chris run in there and did he roll? Oh no, he rolled out, I believe, right? I think he rolled out as the gates were closing. But just to see that action take place, that would be pretty cool. I know paleontologist Jack Horner was a part of that set. You see him a lot on the catwalks and stuff, so that would have been cool. You get to see some cool stuff happening right there.
Yeah, and I know this was a behind-the-scenes featurette, but that more Chris Pratt stunts, that underwater gyrosphere breakout scene would have been really fascinating to watch them film.
Yeah. Let's go to the next. The next thing actually is going to be over on, and there's a lot. I think there's a lot over here, so I don't think I'm going to read them all. Over on Instagram, we're already going an hour and 20 minutes. Drummer Carson says T-Rex couple at the trailer. That's definitely a good one. Oh, all right. So I got to read this, I guess. Griffin Bird Press says, I would have to pick Blue's Operation from Fallen Kingdom. Did I say where we were? This is Instagram. Blue's Operation from Fallen Kingdom. The animatronic was amazing, and almost the whole main cast is there to hang out with. As fun as the rest of the newer movies are, since most everything is CGI, I don't think there would be a lot of scenes other... Oh, man, I can't read, I don't think there are... Nope. I don't think there would be a lot of other scenes. Close runner-up are the raptors in the kitchen and the main road attack. So what we learned from that answer was that I can't read. But actually, we got a good one from Fallen Kingdom, which I wasn't even thinking about at all, which you actually do get that animatronic Blue on the table as they're trying to perform some surgery on her. And everybody's there. That's really cool. And it's kind of like an emotional moment, too, to see that connection between human and dinosaur and trying to save a dying dinosaur. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that scene. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely translates the animatronic. I don't think you could have done that scene CG and it felt the same, because you would have been like, they're obviously, touching a pile of towels or something that they would come up with to be a stand-in. So yeah, I mean, that would be a pretty sweet scene to see.
Yeah, it's something like that where it's such a tight quarters. Like, it would be interesting to see how that was filmed, because they're it's supposed to be in the back of a truck, but that there's probably like 6 guys underneath there, like performing some sort of surgery with their hands to try to get this dinosaur to move, to blink the eyes and to move the mouth and the tail and everything. So that would be awesome to see, and very different, I think. So I'd like to, and the fact that everybody is in one spot would be really cool. There's not really a lot of moments like that I think you could choose from. So let's see here. What else we got? Andaluz says Fallen Kingdom because it will change everything. I guess it will. We'll see. Another one here, Murky says the T-Rex breakout. McGee says JP Rotunda, without a doubt, the amount of destruction and suspense. Pepsi Spinosaurus, the Spino versus T-Rex animatronic fight. Dakota Gonnet says the T-Rex paddock scene. And AK, I don't know how to read this, says Nedry versus Dilophosaurus. So yeah, a bunch of really great scenes as well. But I want to bring it over to an email here. I think, here's an email. This is from Ryan, and it says, I would like to have been able to see Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom sets because I grew up with the original movies and love them, and I have been following this franchise since I was 3 years old. I love Rexy and Blue, and I called Rexy Big Mama because she was the dominant animal on the island and will always be a bully when it comes to smaller carnivores. Okay. So Ryan wanted to be able to see something from Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Nothing specific, but maybe something with Rexy. And that's the problem with like something with like Fallen Kingdom. I would love to have one of my favorite scenes from Fallen Kingdom is the volcano exploding with the Rex in front of it, and you got the gyrosphere and Owen and Carnotaurus under the foot of that T-Rex, but that didn't happen. There's nothing there. Like, it's just Owen, I guess, just standing there looking, off in the distance where no mountain's exploding. So, yeah, that would be kind of lame. But if that was real, if that actually happened, man, that would be cool to see.
You know what? One scene from Fallen Kingdom I don't want to see filmed is when Claire screams that it was all a lie, because I feel like I saw it 16 times before I even sat down in the theater.
You're right.
That one line got on my nerves because it was like, I feel like it was in every TV spot and trailer. And it also kind of like told you what happened in the movie when Claire just screams like it was all a lie. So maybe, even though I like the beach, I think maybe that's a scene that I could sit out.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, I'm at this point where I'm like, should I just sit out all trailers from now on? Because that one, in a way, tarnished the experience of seeing the movie for the first time, because I came away like kind of just like, I saw this movie already. Yeah, it wasn't a lie. Like, this is exactly what I expected.
Like, Claire's mad and says it was all a lie. So when I'm watching the actual movie and she's talking to this guy about this perfect idea of saving the dinosaurs, in my head, I'm like, but she already told me in every TV spot and trailer that it was all a lie. So I know it's all a lie. So I probably would just leave the set if I was on the beach. I guess the question could also be, what scene would you like to like be an extra in, and what scene would you like to be like watch it filmed? Because like a scene that I'd like to be an extra in maybe would be the Mosasaurus Jurassic World like SeaWorld audience scene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just sort of like pretend like I'm like, oh man, did you see that Mosasaurus just eat that shark? It's like. Yeah, it's like I got to, it would be kind of boring to watch being filmed because they probably just copy and pasted like one section of the audience and like changed their clothes digitally like 4 times to fill out the entire stadium. But like to kind of sit in these stadium seats and just kind of be like, "Ooh, man, did you see that?" Could be fun to like be an extra in. Yeah. But I would not want to watch like offset, just kind of next to Colin, and he's like, "All right, now act like you're amazed by the Mosasaurus," So it's kind of like a question. It's like, would I want to be an extra, or would I want to watch it filmed? And I think that's a different answer every time.
Well, let's send the question out there and get some responses. You have time? We could sit here for like 3 hours while we wait for some responses to come back.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, that is a fair point, because I feel like we've kind of approached it from like both angles tonight. It's like we're kind of like treading on the line of like being a part of the scene, but also like just witnessing it and just seeing the craft of everything. But yeah, that would be fun, just to kind of sit back and to cheer something on that you don't know is there, or even see like to react to the T-Rex as it like chomps down on the goat when you're in that log and in T-Rex Kingdom. That would be pretty cool. But yeah. Oh, and what was I going to say? Something about Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to think of certain scenes in that one. I think the dinosaur auction room scene would be really cool, just to kind of see that happen, because it was just a visually like a really cool looking set. There's a certain sequence where like a lot of stuff is happening when the Stygimoloch gets out and just crushes through everybody, and you get that like Indiana Jones moment with Owen. There's a lot going down right there, so I think that would be pretty cool. You're not necessarily getting dinosaurs. I mean, I think there was, I believe the animatronic or part of an animatronic Indoraptor was used there, but they actually just kind of removed it and just did their own thing in the final product. But to see part of that happen would be really cool.
Yeah, Chaos would be a fun thing to witness. And there's plenty of scenes in the franchise of like all hell breaking loose, and that's one.
Yeah.
We'd probably have to, Colin would yell background, and then everyone would start running like crazy, and then you say action. It would be kind of a cool thing to watch.
Yeah. So I do have 2 voicemails here, so let's check out. This is from our buddy Yaroslav, and he says, let's see.
Hey, this is Yaroslav with Yaros428. Just responding to the question that was posed about which set would you have liked to have been present for in the Jurassic Park franchise. So to make this quick, I do have 2 answers because I feel like there's many ways you can approach the answer. My first would be, well, first of all, obviously, I think the general answers would be like anything involving like the major action set pieces, like the T-Rex breakout or the trailer attack, or I'm blanking, stuff from Jurassic World with maybe the Raptor versus Indominus, even though there wasn't too much happening there physically, but with animatronics, I mean. But anyway, my first answer would be if we're talking about going back in time based on nostalgic reasons, I would say I would love to go to the worker village during the night scene. Well, it's always in the night scene, but I guess they shot it all in the nighttime. I heard something recently on a podcast that they assumed that some shots were done during the day. But anyway, I love the worker village. I know a lot of people do, and just the atmosphere of that set it's just probably my favorite thing I can recall from the entire Jurassic Park franchise. So I would just love to be kind of immersed in that and kind of look around and, see an animatronic raptor and so on and so forth. I would love that. But in terms of like going back in time to see the shooting of a scene for what we know is popular knowledge in the fan base, I would like to go back to see the T-Rex versus Spinosaurus fight, just to actually witness if I knew it was gonna happen, witness the I hate that it happened, but like it'd be impressive to see the T-Rex head getting ripped off by the Spinosaurus animatronic, and maybe see what else they were trying to shoot for that scene practically, and just to I know there's a lot that's still kind of hidden in regards to the whole shooting scene. So yeah, those are my answers, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hear what other people say. I'm assuming a lot of animatronic scenes are going to be the answers. So thanks.
Yep, he hit the nail on the head there. That was a lot of the answers with the animatronic scenes. And as far as that ripping the head off, I know that's been shared around a lot as well recently. It's funny because a lot of these things have been shared. I just recently saw J.A. Bayona, director of Fallen Kingdom, shared that moment with Blue in the trailer, being like the surgery moment. I also saw, what did I say before? That Lost World set for the San Diego sequence, and also the one that he just said with the ripping apart. Like there was this I think it was maybe like the Stan Winston School account shared like this little miniature model of like the animatronics just kind of ripping the neck piece off or whatever, and that would have been really cool to see what they had planned for that.
Yeah. Speaking of the Spinosaurus versus T-Rex, and that, like right before the whole fight starts, they run into what's an obvious animatronic. Once they kind of discover that carcass or whatever, and they kind of look up and there's the T-Rex. I think that's the animatronic.
Yeah.
I would have loved to seen if that was filmed where they just sort of filmed their side and they actually weren't looking at anything, or as the T-Rex comes up from the like trees where you see his head or her head kind of rise up. I would have liked to known if like they actually had them staring at the animatronic or not. So that T-Rex versus Spinosaurus scene, almost like a minute before the fight actually starts, might actually be kind of interesting to see them run away and see like how they did that, how they lifted that head of the T-Rex.
that's another moment. It's like, it's strange. It doesn't work for me per se because I don't really love the way that, I don't know, it's just the way it was filmed or something. But the T-Rex, when it pulls its head up, it looks so goofy. It doesn't, it's got blood-soaked jaw. It should be like kind of menacing and terrifying, but like it kind of looks like it's like, oh, you caught me. Hey, sorry guys, and I'm here. But like the fact that that's the same animatronic from like the last movie, from The Lost World, where we saw that being used in that movie, and it looks impressive and scary and awesome. What happened? Why did it look that way? I don't know, but yeah, that would definitely be one that I just wish I could make some of my own. Maybe if I was like a producer and I just so happened to be there, I'm like, you know what? Let's change it all. But let's move over to another one here. This is, I believe, our last thing here from the one and only Jay Jurassic. What's he have to say?
Hey, Brad.
What's up?
And Jurassic Park podcast. This is Jay Jurassic calling in. I want to answer your question that you got going on. If we could visit any set of any scene of the Jurassic franchise while being filmed, well, which one would it be and why? Well, I have a number one pick, and then I have a runner-up. And both of them have to deal with Tyrannosaurs, of course. First one, I got it.
Let me interrupt him there. It's got to be the moment where the Spinosaurus rips off the neck or the head of the T-Rex, right, Jay? That's what it is, isn't it?
The breakout scene. The T-Rex breakout scene is just monumental. It is iconic, and it is like, it's just an iconic scene in cinema history. So just being around that and seeing that full-size T-Rex, basically, just they're destroying stuff, would be just, I think right there, that's it. I'm good. I don't need to see anything else in my life. And runner-up would have to be the trailer scene from The Lost World. That scene is crazy. Seeing two T-Rexes being on set. But if you were on set, and you weren't directly, had to do anything with the dinosaurs, you wouldn't be allowed on that set, actually. If you watch the behind the scenes, Stan Winston and everybody clears everybody out because these things were dangerous. They were huge machines that'll really hurt you if they did a wrong move. But yeah, that's really the breakout scene is really what I would love to be a part of, to see that in action, man. All right, Jay Jurassic out. See you guys. Or Brad, or wherever this one ends up.
What about me?
I think I heard your name in there, right? Jay, you said that. Yeah, but I agree, man. Good choices. Also, about that trailer sequence, I'd like to see that trailer filmed over the parking garage that they kind of transformed to look like the side of a cliff. That would be kind of cool as well.
Yeah, I like to see how they did the camera effects to make it, seem like it was, tilting a certain way, and how they kind of, I think that stuff's always fascinating to me. Yeah, good choices. I think the more I actually think about Jurassic Park 3, though, there's a lot of scenes with dinosaurs that might actually be the best movie to see dinosaurs, because I'm thinking about no one's mentioned the Spinosaurus attacking the plane and tearing that plane apart, because that was an animatronic and that was like actually a built plane, and to watch them freak out, I think would have been a really fun sequence to watch. So I think Lost World and Fallen Kingdom didn't get enough love, but I do think Jurassic Park 3 might be the best if you want to see dinosaurs in action because of how developed the animatronics were. But I'm glad somebody said the trailer scene, because I think I was the only one to mention it at the beginning. But I don't know where I'm going with this. But I just think that it speaks to the franchise that there's not really a bad answer that anybody's given.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I could kind of defend any one of these picks. So yeah, they all work, each and every one of them. And if there were more in Fallen Kingdom, I probably would have backed those up as well. No slight to Fallen Kingdom. I think there's plenty that I would like to see. And like I said before, nobody even picked Battle at Big Rock. I went to Ireland a few months after they filmed there because they filmed it in this. I think it was like some sort of like national park or something near some castle out there, which I just explained is like anywhere in Ireland. I almost made a trip out there, but I'm like, it's a little off of our trip, and I'm like, I don't know. But that would have been a cool one to see. It kind of resembles that Lost World style where it's just redwood trees in a way, just like looks kind of like that. But that would have been a cool one to see, especially because there was some animatronic work and stuff like that on there. So that would have been a good one to see. But yeah, it's a short, so it's like, you can't really get a lot out of it. There's like, I'd maybe like to see them destroy a camper, and that's about it.
Yeah, I thought that was an incredibly impressive. That's another acting piece where I think the acting really sold that short.
Oh yeah.
No one mentioned Camp Cretaceous, so
I'd like to be in a room with a bunch of other people as they're just sitting all on their computers trying to make this thing.
Well, does it exist is another question, I guess. So
does it exist? Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, the toys exist, right? So something has to be out there, I think.
That this does have me thinking, is there a good behind the scenes documentary, like an actual full length documentary on any of the Jurassic films?
Yes. Yeah. So back in the old days, of VHS, there was like an amazing Jurassic Park documentary, it was its own VHS. I think this was the one that was narrated by like James Earl Jones. It was amazing. It was incredible. Man, I forget where that came out specifically, but it was awesome. Whether it was attached to Lost World or Jurassic Park, I don't remember. But that was awesome. And that's the stuff that you just don't get really anymore. And, maybe there's kind of like a little resurgence of this with, what they're doing with The Mandalorian. They're really documenting that whole process of making that show. Hopefully a lot of things and films and TV shows learn from that. We do apparently have a live action TV show maybe sometime in the future. So hopefully they kind of take from that and they're like, you know what, we need more content for Peacock. So let's make a behind the scenes documentary too. Cause I'm super disappointed with the looks at the set. And maybe that's part of the problem is like, there's not a ton of great insight into the set of all these other things outside of like a few 8-minute vignettes about like what they did. And, Chris Pratt laughing and having a good time on set and, doing some stunts and stuff, but there's really not a lot of meaty stuff when it comes to behind the scenes for these new ones.
Yeah, it's just like Universal doesn't want to treat it like it should be. Like with the theme parks, behind the scenes, I think there's never been an indication that fans don't want more, but it's just kind of like, well, just be happy with what you get. So it's just like, as a Star Wars fan and like content creator, just the behind the scenes stuff never ends. And it's all the way from TV specials from the late 70s, early 80s to full-length documentaries on episode 8, episode 9, an entire 8-episode mini-series about The Mandalorian season 1. And it's like, we know all this stuff about Jurassic behind the scenes, but it's like, well, it's because there's a 1.5-minute clip on YouTube here, and the behind the scenes on Jurassic World DVD had a couple of like, Colin talking about this. And it's just like, I think there has to be some sort of hunger for like a full length documentary, documenting, how these things are done now. So I just think that that just had me curious of like, is there something I can watch? Cause there's plenty of good stuff on Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, the ride. I watched the whole documentary about that, but I'm like, I haven't really seen anything for the movies as much. Yeah.
We'll have to track down the old one. It was really, really great, but yeah, that's about it. I wish we had more. Who knows? Maybe with the next one, but I doubt it. We have these making of books for Jurassic Park and the Lost World. And we haven't got anything for the new movies, like pretty much nothing when it comes to that. What you see is a post on Twitter And that's the behind the scenes, which is a little frustrating because that's all you get. But I would like a little bit more. We've been told that there's an art book coming once this series is wrapped. So after Dominion, we'll, during maybe I don't know if it'll be the film release or the DVD release. Maybe we'll get an art book or something like that. But yeah, it's a shame that not more has been done behind the scenes with these new movies. But I don't know. Maybe sometime in the future. But I did want to ask you though, like, since Star Wars is your bread and butter, what is one scene that you could have seen filmed or would have liked to have seen filmed in that entire franchise? And there's so many options.
Yeah, I think the prequels, as much as those are that's probably my favorite trilogy. The sets, episode 1 sets were really impressive, but the rest of them, a lot of just sort of mix and match between green screen and this floor was real, but everything else was, green. So it's can't wait to see Ewan McGregor jump up and down and, fight a guy in a green bodysuit, So prequels, and then the sequels, the sets were very impressive, but they were almost impressive just because they could. I think part of the appeal to the old Jurassic movies, especially the first one and the old Star Wars movies, was that they weren't building these impressive sets just because they could. It was out of necessity. They literally couldn't fill out these sets unless they built them. Yeah. Whereas the sequel movies for Star Wars, JJ especially and Ryan, were just let's just build these massive sets just because we can. So it's although they're impressive, it's you technically could have built this all digitally and we wouldn't have had any idea whether it was real or not. Yeah. So I think about the originals, and I think one from each, the answer is Echo Base. To me, that's the most impressive on Hoth, where you have the full Falcon where Chewie and Han are on top of it. The hallways, just a big hangar with all the ships, sort of the beginning of Empire at Echo Base in Norway. Well, the set inside wasn't in Norway, but that to me was one of the most impressive sets ever built. I was just watching Empire the other day, and it still just feels like they've actually built a real rebel base. Close second is Dagobah. I think that is an incredibly impressive set. So I think it's either those two from Empire. I think the obvious answer is go to the homestead in Tunisia when they're filming episode 4, A New Hope. But that's the T-Rex breakout scene where it's you'll take that off the thing. And to me, if I'm going to go to a Star Wars set, it's going to be Galaxy's Edge, where I'm immersed. So I think seeing a full-size Falcon, seeing X-Wings, and seeing sort of this base, Echo Base, I think Echo Base wins it for me, I think.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I kind of was thinking maybe just to get a glimpse of the Ewok village and stuff like that. That would be pretty cool. Or anything filmed, in the Redwoods would be really cool to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, of course the homestead, it's kind of iconic. You can't really deny wanting to see that. But yeah, and it made me think about, what's happening now with the Mandalorian, and it's you can go see that happen, and it would be a completely different experience, because you get to see the volume, right? That's the name of that whole experience, and it's a different experience. It's you're seeing something brand new and super creative and kind of mind blowing to see how that actually works. And it might not be the most believable set, almost because if you watch the behind the scenes stuff, you see that the screen is not really, it's something that you can just watch and believe, because there's a lot of just swipes and weird, blending of footage because of the camera movements and all that stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing to witness, I would think, in person, but still at the same time, it's a pretty cool spectacle. So yeah, that's got to be a really interesting one. I think we were all kind of blown away when we realized that was all a screen. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's why the sequel sets wouldn't impress me as much, because like I said, The Mandalorian proved you could make a realistic looking set without it. So you're only building these massive sets just so you could sort of say kind of throwback. Like I built this set because I wanted to when you didn't necessarily have to. Where when you go visit the original trilogy sets, it's like they built these impressive sets because they had no other choice. And that's almost like I think the two obvious answers are the homestead and the cantina to watch them film those scenes. It's just the most obvious. But yeah, I think The Mandalorian would be interesting to watch technologically wise. So that's, I mean, we could probably do a whole nother podcast about that.
That's absolutely true. The cantina one, I saw a picture floating around recently, and it's just like, you want to imagine the most low budget filming you've ever seen in your life. Picture something way lower than that, and that's like how some of that was shot. And it's like, oh my god, it's shockingly low budget looking. So yeah, you're not really necessarily getting that full experience in some of those sequences.
Yeah,
but yeah. I guess that about wraps it up. It's almost 2 hours there. Sorry for that, everybody. But yeah, that was fun. I actually enjoyed getting those unique insights to what people like, because like we said, we kind of expected a lot of the same, but there was actually some good stuff, and I think surprisingly a real love for Jurassic Park 3, which is not always something you hear whenever you're talking about Jurassic Park 3. It's always like something like a dig at it or somebody complaining about something or whatever. But it's nice to actually hear that like going to that set would have been really, really impressive. So I'm happy that we were able to let you all know that people really dig that one. So Ryan, tell me, what do you got going on? Where can everybody track you down online? What's going on with the show? All that good stuff.
So we're a once a week Star Wars podcast, talking, about a bunch of different stuff. Sometimes news, sometimes interviews. We just like to keep it fun. We do a mailbag episode like Brad does. So it's a lot of just fun, positive Star Wars talk. It's not really about what we don't like. It's not really about fandom fights. Easiest place to go to that'll take you to a catch-all would be our website, forcecast.net. From there you can find our Twitter, Facebook feeds, latest episodes. Latest episode came out last week. We had Ahmed Best from Jedi Temple Challenge, and of course he was Jar Jar Binks in the prequels. We had him on to talk about that new game show. So, we just like to try to keep it fun. And Brad, you've appeared on the show many, many times. So if you want more Brad, just kind of search Brad Jost Forcecast, and there's plenty to choose from. So.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you got Ahmed Best on there, but do what you can and look for me, because definitely, that's awesome, man. I have not gotten a chance to listen to that one yet, but I'm very excited. So he's awesome. I actually, I checked out that show and I was like instantly hooked. I think it's a lot of fun. Looks great. And I was actually watching on like Pluto TV. They have Legends of the Hidden Temple, and I was like, oh my god. Just the parallels are awesome. I love those. I love both those things.
Yeah, it's a really awesome show, and it was a really fun interview. So yeah, if you're that's what's good about Star Wars fans. Sometimes we complain, but we eat good compared to this fandom. Unfortunately,
yeah.
We have like kids game shows that basically are on the level of Legends of the Hidden Temple, and you guys are just like hoping for an animated show to actually exist like they say it does. So.
We just have so many fingers crossed at this point that things actually happen. So yeah, it maybe one day we'll reach that status, but it's not very likely. But thank you for joining me here today to take a look at all these responses. And what do you say we get out of here?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I think there's a lot of good choices, and I think that speaks a lot about the Jurassic franchise that you'd want to see. Do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur? And I think a lot of us want to go back to that and see a dinosaur. So yeah,
that's true. And Universal, I'll wear a mask. I'll use hand sanitizer if whatever it is. I'll go to the Dominion set if that's what you want. I'll be there. So let me check my email. I'll see if there's an invite. All right, so let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody.